Welcome, my friends. Contractor Sales Academy podcasto. I'm Tom.
I'm Steve.
I'm Derek.
What's up?
Not the stock market, man.
That's for sure.
So, yeah, we got a lot of crazy stuff going on right now in the world and the markets and health and this and that. And I think the media is certainly doing their job, right? Freaking everybody out. And
That's for sure.
I think, I know that's kind of what we're going to talk about here today a little bit, not the media, but just what's going on and just things that we're observing, things we've learned through the years, and hopefully give everybody listening to this just a little bit of perspective and hope and all that other stuff. So, the tendency right now is for everyone to latch on to the negativity. And I know on our team call a few minutes ago, we were just talking about, hey, we're just going to stay the course and do the right things, play the long game, have the right perspective. Steve, maybe open up by telling people you did a video today for our Bridge sales training group, and maybe give us the cliff notes on that, just to kind of set the tone here.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this was Logan's idea, not mine. So, but I thought it was great. So we live in this virus time, right? And this is where you need some social distance, and everybody's freaking out about being anywhere near anyone else, so we don't all catch the virus and get sick or die.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this thing. The three of us have been preaching now this is our 6th year doing this. And I started it a little over 7 years ago, creating this process that really almost takes out the human to human contact. And so what I did is I put together a video. I just walked out into my woods. I hike every day out to the lake and took this video just telling folks that we've been doing this process for several years now, but it's perfect for our times. And in a nutshell, it goes something like this. You could send me some pictures. I don't care what it is. If you want me to paint the outside of your house, you just send me pictures of the 4 sides of your house, and I'll call you back. We'll have a conversation. I can come up with a price because I've been doing this 19 years. I can come up with a price to paint your house. And if you like it, I'll electronically take a credit card right over the phone, whether it's a deposit or the whole damn thing that you pick. Then I'll send my guys out and they'll do the job. You don't have to see or touch anyone. You get what you want done, and you don't have the fear of catching this disease by anyone else. Now, this just happens to be what's going on now, like this virus. So it really plays and plugs in well to this environment, but this plugs in well to any environment. I mean, I've been doing this 5 years successfully, and it'd be shocking. I know that the people listening to us is going to be shocked to know that 7 years ago, I sold 100% of my stuff while standing in the backyard. Nowadays, before the virus, I sell 90% of my stuff over the computer from my office. I don't even get in my car because I know what I'm doing and I can price what I'm doing. So, I understand, Steve, I do remodeling. I have to go out there. I have to pull the tape measure. I got to come up with material. I got to do blah, blah, blah. Okay. I got some of that too, but yeah. I can get this process down to very, very streamlined.
Steve, I was going to go a little bit different direction, but and we'll touch on the social distancing because, man, that's quite the distance if we can do this over the phone versus in their space. But as you were talking about this, I've realized recently that there's other industries, other trades that have been not necessarily asking customers to send them pictures, but they're using Google Earth. They're using what is the oh crap, what is it called?
Can't help you.
To draw a blank on the when you sell your home, Zillow. They're using Zillow. So a lot of these people are already using this thing, and as this social distancing is happening, I'm starting to see you're going to have to step your game up because there's already people doing it. And yes, you're right, Steve. More people are going to start having pictures sent because of this whole thing. So as the months unfold, I really feel like the industry is going to shift, and people are going to realize because of Google, because of us doing the phone pre-qualification, it's going to happen more and more and more. But here's the deal. Do you know how to do it properly? Because you can do the Google Earth. You can actually map out and tell the square footage if you're a pressure washer and have the square footage and give a customer an estimate. But do you know how to have the spirit of the conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to deal with objections? Do you know how to use the right word tracks? Do you know how to separate yourself from everybody else that's going to start doing this too? Because it's going to become a bigger field of people following this process. Now you're going to be competing. Not only are you competing with people already in the yards, you're going to be competing with other contractors on the phone. Don't you think it's important to be a sales assassin?
So
I think that's what we're going to see,
Yeah.
the overarching dilemma, if you will, that all of a sudden everybody's going to level up to this. Yeah, we're kind of on the frontier, and we have been for the last 5 years in essence. But as things shift, I think it's important that you know how to sell over the phone because everybody's going to be doing it.
the only way that happens, Derek, is by practicing, coming in, being coached. Like if you're a basketball player, you are coached. You find the best coaches you can. You practice your ass off. You go into the real game. Then you pull the videotape afterwards and you study yourself. How did I screw that up? This is exactly the same thing. And this is exactly the process we go through in the CSA. We bring you in, we coach you, we give you everything you need, the words, if you need the exact words to use. And then we set up a role play, a place to practice. We have practice every day with other members in our group. Mm-hmm. Then they all go out and they have the real-time sales calls. And what do? They come back and go, man, I really that one up. Or I did it right. But they share wins, losses, failures, successes, and everybody benefits from that. And when they first come in, most people, they think they're going to sell over the phone. They suck.
Oh, yeah.
They think they have the gift to gab, but that's actually their curse also, because they have the gift to gab. They don't know how to shut the hell up, ask a question and shut the hell up. So we teach people exactly what to say, how to say it, what to think, why you're saying it, how to self-correct and self-critique yourself as it's really happening live. All this only goes down because of practice. And no one that I know of has practiced more than Derek. Derek,
well,
in that one February, you took a 28-day February, probably 3 years ago. How many practice role plays did you do in one February?
it's 97.
9? Think about that. 90 freaking.
Most people that say they do or they've had sales training have never done 97 role plays collectively.
Right.
You know, and Derek, you're probably over a couple thousand now.
It's easily. I'm a freak of nature, but there's a lot of other freaks out there too that can take what I'm doing and what you guys are doing and what I've had the privilege to step up and do the training and teach this stuff. Mm-hmm. And because what do we like? Podcast number 56, 57 for our CSA, somewhere around there. I think I just saw it the other day. So I think we're touching 60. But what I'm thinking is we've shared multiple. So if you guys binge listen to our podcast, we've shared the bulk of a lot of our word tracks we use. Yeah. And I'll give you a word track right here. And the reason I can do this, because it doesn't matter with the word tracks. And like Steve says, all you got to do is shut up. Well, until you get with a group of like-minded people doing the same training, you're not going to be great at it. So that's the difference. So when I've done, a couple thousand role plays, how I've become to get this seat, if you will, is because I do the role plays. And what happens within the role plays, other word tracks evolve. We support each other. It's a safe place. So here, I'm just going to throw this word track out here. This is a game changer for anybody that's on the phone with the customer right now. And it's just simple. You want to find out if they have a $200 budget for your $2,000 thing. So all you got to do is say, projects that we've done in the past have cost this much money. That's all you got to do. And that customer will say, we don't have that money, or that sounds right to us, or is that all? Like, seriously, if you just have that conversation, just that simple little thing, but that's a silver bullet. But then what do you do if they give you an objection?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do if they want to talk to other contractors? What do you do if they say they want to think about it? Now, hopefully, you can weed out the tire kickers, as we say, when they go, oh gosh, Derek, that's $2,000. I only have 200 to spend. Now, I can work with that objection. I can pull it and I can shift it. But at the end of the day, I can't get any more money out of them if they don't have it. So don't you want to find out on the phone versus in their space if they just can't afford you? So that's a simple word track everybody can use. But there's a shitload of other objections that you're going to have to deal with. And that's what we do in the bridge.
So Derek, Steve just called you. He wants his kitchen remodeled. Use that similar word track, and Steve, give him an objection, please.
So I'm the customer and Derek is a salesman.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead, hit me with the exact word track. So we've talked bullshit about what I want. Go.
Okay. So Steve, thank you for sharing that information with you. Going over my notes that I've taken right here, I feel like I can comfortably share what other people have invested in a similar project. Is it okay if we talk about money?
Yeah. I'd like to know how much it costs. How much would something like this cost me?
So I just want to say, because you spoke about your wife and she really was the driver in this and she designed it. Steve, she designed an unbelievable kitchen. Are you sitting down? Because the number I'm about to share with you scares me and I'm even nervous to even say it. Are you sitting down?
Yeah, let me go out of role play because I want to explain what's happening. So what Derek is doing is he is setting me up, the customer, for a big freaking number. At least I think he is, because he's scaring me going, boy, your wife designed a very expensive project. And so in my head as a customer, I'm thinking, geez, what's expensive? Well, see, what's expensive to me and what's expensive to Derek are two different things. So I'm thinking, holy crap, it might be $100,000. It might be $100,000. I can't believe it, or whatever it is. But the point is, Derek is setting me up. So I, back in the role play, I go.
Hold on. The other thing Derek just did there is, now we didn't role play the motive step, but Derek is revisiting the motive because it's really the wife's thing that she's into, and he's bringing it back to that. So that's why the motive is so important too. All right. Anyway, back in.
So Steve, you are sitting down, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting down.
Because I didn't even realize that a kitchen could get this expensive. So I just got to say that right off the bat. Your wife has the best taste ever. So with that being said, you ready for this?
Hit me, man. I'm sitting.
She designed a $175,000 kitchen.
Holy smokes. I knew I've always married above my level, and that's definitely above my level. So, well, let me turn the tables on you, and I want to speak off the record to you. Are you okay with that?
Sure. Absolutely. Talk to me.
All right. I got to look around because I don't want my wife to hear this, but I got $100,000, no more. That's all I got. So if you need to tone a few things down, you just tell me what you got to do, and that's what I want you to do.
No more?
No more.
Steve, we have a problem.
Are you telling me you can't build my kitchen or a kitchen for $100,000?
I can build a kitchen for $100,000. Yes.
So what can you do for 100?
I've got to pull a lot of stuff. Those quartz countertops that she picked, they're one of a kind. I've got to remove those.
Okay.
That backsplash, that tile, that is the highest grade tile that I can even find. I've got to downgrade your backsplash.
So how about we do this? You just tell me what you can do. Like, you see the basic design. I still need a kitchen done, and I want to make my wife happy, but I'll talk to her about the money situation, and you kind of tell me, or at least have a game plan to talk to her about all the stuff she's not gonna get for $100,000.
Okay.
That good?
So I can do that. Once I put that together, what would you like to do next?
I think I'd like to get on a phone conversation or have you come out, either one, with my wife there, so she fully understands exactly what we're getting and how much we're paying for it.
Okay. So, Steve, if I may, it sounds like we're shifting to more of a consultation.
Well, however you want to do it, I'm happy to do it over the phone or have you come out to the house. Either one.
Well, I can't put a lot of legwork in over the phone. I can basically say I can take this away and I can add this in, and that'll be $100,000. But then we're going to have to get the conceptual designs and stuff like that. Now we're talking design money. We're talking consultation money. I'm going to come out for $500. You and the wife and I are going to stand in the kitchen, and we're just going to talk about removing those things. Does it even make sense for me to come out for $500 to even have that conversation in your space? Because we're kind of having it over the phone.
Yeah, but I'm good. I'm okay. Seriously, I'm good with the $500 because I need my wife to understand truly what she's getting, and I'm happy. I'm good with that.
Cool. So let's start there. It's going to take about an hour. We're all going to get on the same page. We're going to talk about, now I can't do any drawings. I can't do anything. I'm not even going to bring samples with me. We're just going to stand in the kitchen, and basically you and I are going to convince your wife that $100,000 is okay with what we're finding just online.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Now let's step out of role play because I want to tell the audience what happens. And trust me, everything's coming out of Derek's mouth, and not because he's super talented, or at least he wasn't. He is now, but it's hard work. He was not born to do all this stuff. What we're doing and what he's doing, if you caught it, he's actually now bonding with me. So he and I are going to be teammates to gang up against my wife to convince her to have me spend $100,000. That's what he's doing. And he's also bringing up that most salesmen would never bring up about, you can't have this countertop. Can't have this. You can't. He's okay saying all this stuff. And not only that, he's throwing out a big number for most of us for $500. So let's go out to your house for $500. And I'm like, I'm about to spend 100,000. 500 is good for me. If you can, and what's my real problem? My problem's not the kitchen. My problem's the wife.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing, I'm paying Derek $500 to come help me convince her that she would love a $100,000 kitchen instead of $175,000 kitchen. That's what I'm paying the $500 for. So right now, as I'm the customer, Derek's the man. He's my guy. He's coming out to save me.
And what I love about what you did there, Derek, too, was you set the expectations of what the $500 is going to look like. You vanguarded it. You're like, I'm not bringing drawings. I'm not bringing samples. We're going to literally stand in your kitchen, have this conversation. The expectations can't be clearer. I want to also point out what the alternative to this is that most, in this case, kitchen remodelers are doing, right? Steve would say, oh, I only got $100,000. So then the typical guy runs back, spends God knows how many hours researching, drawing stuff up, typing stuff up just to send it over, where you've missed the spirit of the conversation. You truly haven't connected with the prospect, just to be ghosted later on or told that, hey, all that time that you put into this, was all for nothing. So
the reason I can go there, because I'm obviously not a kitchen guy by no means, but we recently remodeled our kitchen, and we went to the top, the granite countertop, the quartz countertop place. And as you go through the display area, they got these 4 countertops, these 4 slabs, if you will, kind of angled. And it's like as you walk into it, you see these amazing pieces. And one that I looked at was literally petrified wood that somebody an artist had put together. And I even questioned, is like, did they just cut that off of a tree? Like, it was like, how did that? But no, he put it together seamlessly. And I was like, that shit can't be cheap. And he was like, nope, that's $50,000. A slab. So when Steve and I are having this conversation of 175, and I say to get to $100,000, I need to remove that countertop, because we can totally put a $5,000 countertop in versus a $50,000. Serves the same purpose. But if she wants that petrified wood, there's nothing I can do about that. So when you start removing that stuff and having that conversation, and why I set such a high anchor is because I can work my way down to get to Steve's $100,000 budget. His wife just has to be happy with the fixtures, if you will, for $100,000. And if I can't convince her, at least I made $500 for an hour.
So you're not going out for $500. And what you've really done is for me, the customer, you've bonded with me like no other salesman's bonded with me. So I'm going to bend over backwards. I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure you get the deal. Because especially if you can help me convince my wife, then you're a shoo-in, period.
You know, and I know you guys have seen this too. It's amazing when you charge for that consult, that $500 becomes so important to them when you walk away, that they will do almost anything to recover that $500 to get the job. So all of a sudden, Steve, in his mind, he's liable to spend $125 because he needs that $500 credited into the project. I've seen this multiple times. They just can't let it go because now they're invested financially too. So there's all kinds of nuances that happen. But yes, you get me into your space and you get me in front of your wife. And then now, see, we talk about the pre-qualification process. You have to listen. You have to affirm. You have to validate. You have to empathize. You have to listen and speak about 30% of the time and let the other person, the prospect, speak 70% of the time. But when I get in your space and you've invited me in and we've already talked about money, I'm going to turn on, man. My enthusiasm is going to be jacked up. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be on Steve's side. I'm going to be on her side. We're going to go back and forth. That's the difference. And so what a lot of people confuse when we do this is they actually kind of stop selling. But once you pre-qualify the customer, it's okay to sell because that's what you're good at. That's when the gift of gab is okay. But if you talk over the person, you're screwing yourself. There's a whole nother set of psychology on how to make the other person feel important when you get into their space. And once you validate them and once they feel heard, showtime. Time to sell.
So all of this is psychology. None of this really has much to do with the project, the amount of money, or anything. That you always hear this old adage that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Okay, and that's the psychology behind how Derek was talking to me. He was talking to me in such a way that I trust him. I even trust him enough to pay him $500 to help me convince my wife. So let's talk about the alternative to not doing this, because this podcast is falling on the ears of people that generally have no process. They don't have a sales thing, and they're probably sitting there going, holy shit, how can Derek be like doing this? Steve and Derek role play, and then Tom and Steve and Derek, we break out of the role play and we start critiquing about what's really going on. It's like we're playing at such a deeper level than most contractors even know there's a level to be playing with. They're just going out, showing up, throwing up, and walking away with nothing. Mostly, that's what's happening. So if, we started with the whole coronavirus thing, that this is all over the phone. We'll take a credit card. We don't have to have much personal contact. But the truth is, I don't care what's going on in the world. If you understand that you are playing a psychological game, I mean, this is a Broadway play performed by a shrink, really, and you're the shrink. You're trying to get into the heads of the customers and see what really makes them tick. Is it really the money? Is it really the project? Or is it really the embarrassment that they're going to have if they don't redo the backyard because they're having a wedding party at their house in June, right? Is it the fact that they don't want to look like shit in front of the neighbors? There's other reasons, and you're trying to pick away and peel away at the onion. Just like if you went to see a shrink, man, they spend weeks and months of time, they peel away and they get to the real reason. That's all we're doing. That's what Derek's doing with me. He's going to get to the real reason. We're only on like reason 2, and there's like 3 or 4 more layers that he would peel away at me. So I just got to tell you, if you're not taking what we're saying seriously, then I don't think you're taking the sales of your company seriously. Yeah. Tom has a million ways to get your phone to ring, but if you don't pick it up and say these beautiful words that you just heard Derek say, you're just pissing away all your marketing money.
Steve, another thing we're doing that we've learned over the 6 years now is we're teaching contractors how to listen, because you have to become an active listener too. So as we break this stuff down, you may get an objection And we may have a word track for you, but you don't even know how to use it.
Yeah.
So we need to teach you how to understand as they deliver that objection, and you go, oh, I've heard this, 97 times. So I'm going to rise to my highest level of training, because we always default to something.
Yeah.
So you default to your training, and all of a sudden you go, oh, Mrs. Jones, that sounds very interesting. What are you hoping to hear from me that you haven't heard from other contractors?
Derek, it's funny you bring up the whole listening part, because that's, I guess if there were a secret ingredient to this, it would be that, right? It would be, are you truly listening and hearing them? That's what we call step one, the motive, right? Like and I'm continually blown away when I jump in on, because I know, you do your, from time to time on your training calls, you do live SHIN FU calls with real customers, and you record them, and they're there for the group to learn from. And then you critique yourself, and you even let the group critique you and things like that after you get off the call. And pretty much every time I've sat in on one of yours, later in one of the other steps, you've gone back to something you really heard and understood in the motive that I've often missed. I'm like, holy shit, that's right, they did talk about that, or whatever. And I think that's the beauty. That's why we spend so much time on this podcast and our training, really talking about, guys, you have got to connect with them. Sales is easier when you connect, and you're not going to connect if you're truly not understanding that motive. And that happens when you're really trained how to listen. Because we make a lot of assumptions. One word track, since you gave one, I'll give one too. One word track that just worked well for me through the years has always been, hey, it might be Steve here with the kitchen. Steve, listen, you and your wife are going to select somebody to do this project, and I think I have an understanding of some things that are super important that we've talked about, and blah, blah, blah. We've talked about the money. But I'm just curious, when you're standing at this new kitchen island and you're writing that last check, and the guy's going to hop in his truck or his car and he's going to leave, what would need to happen for this to be the best experience you've ever had with a contractor? Or how would you know that you hired the right guy? Just another little layer just like that will often uncover something else that's there, because the way it's asked and the connection that you have. So that's why if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, God, these guys talk about the motive all the time, and I want to know how to talk about money, and how do I get a consult fee? Guys, the goal is not to sell over the phone. The goal is not to get a consult fee. The goal is to make sure that we're a good fit, that we have this connection, that we're going to have a long-term relationship, that I'm cashing a deposit check for my price, that I'm not rolling around in the mud, and chasing people that don't want me to talk to them. That's the goal of this motive step and this whole conversation in the SHIN FU. It's just, we only have so many hours in our lifetime, right? I don't want to spend, especially in business, we don't want to spend one more hour, one more minute with somebody that's not going to be a great fit for us. And I just want to throw that out there, because I answer on social media all the time. You guys have seen the posts, are like, yeah, I got to get to the point where I'm selling jobs over the phone. I got to get to the point where I can charge $500 a consultation. One guy just today I saw, his strategy for the things that he's freaking out about in the economy right now are, I want to schedule as many paid consultations as I can so I have money coming in. I'm like, dude, that's not the goal. That's not in the best interest of the client or the prospect. That's not your best use of time. So the goal here is, are we a good fit? Does it make sense to keep having a conversation? And one of the things, Derek, you said, I forget the exact way you said it in the role play, but I guarantee not many people picked it up. You kind of gave a what would happen next type thing, and what you were doing, where I know you were going, was you were working to get Steve to make it Steve's idea to invite you out. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's another level that, we can, or we could or could not talk about here today, but there's a reason to everything you guys are hearing on these role plays and on this show that we're putting out there, but you got to start with that basic shit. I mean, just last night, it's St. Patrick's Day today as we record this. Last night, my son arrived at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, for Marine Corps boot camp. And late last night, he got off that bus. Drill instructors are swarming around. And the very first thing they teach you when you get off the bus is you get on these yellow footprints and the drill instructor stands up on a platform and they're screaming and they're swarming like hornets and this and that. And drill instructor goes, put your hands up in the air violently. And the kids throw their hands up in the air. He goes, down, up, down. And then the next step was up, close your fist. And then next step, and to do that a couple times. And the next step was take your thumb and put it here, you know, on the side of your fist. And they did that a couple times. And the next time is you take those thumbs down and you put them at your trouser seams. And they were basically, from the second they got off the bus, they were starting with the very basic thing of how to stand at attention. Okay? And you don't get to be a killing machine that's highly efficient in battle, protecting our country and all that in any elite unit. You don't get to that point without learning how to stand at attention. You don't get to that point. Like, they put the yellow footprints on the ground for us in Marine Corps boot camp. It can't be any more remedial than that. So for those of you who are listening to this going, oh, I'm ready for the more advanced, if you haven't mastered the fact that you can't jump in and just get on the role plays and start doing that and print off the script that we give you and follow the steps, you're not ready for the deeper stuff. You have to be committed to that. And that's Derek, Steve, that's how you guys have gotten where you are with this. Steve, was funny. My observation during the role play, Steve, you were fighting, not SHIN FUing him back, because it's such a part of your DNA right now. And I can see it in you guys that are really good at this. When you're role playing and you're playing the customer, I think it's sometimes harder for you guys because you default to the open-ended questions and to taking control of the conversation and things like that. That was my kind of entertainment value here watching you, is you were, let me flip this here. Derek, can we go off the record and things like that as the customer, you know? And, but that's because this is just part of your DNA now.
And we should probably end with that whole idea. You can go from 0 to 100. It is part of my DNA because I've lived it for 7 years now. And when you come in here, we will start you, literally, you're going to start in first grade and quickly advance to 12th grade. And we'll take you all along the steps as long as you put the hard work in there. But you ain't going from graduating from 5th to 6th grade if you can't pass 5th grade material. And that only comes from hard work. And everything you've heard today, everything has come from being open and busting your ass, plain and simple.
Yep.
We do not have a magic bullet. We don't have some magical sales script. We don't have any of that. We will teach you how to think differently, theoretically in your mind. So no matter what objections, what situation is thrown at you, because you got it right between your ears, you have the right mindset, you'll be able to fight off. Just like Kung Fu could fight off any objection.
Awesome. Derek, anything else to wrap us up?
Get your ass in the bridge.
There you go. Hey, if you found value in this today, share it with another contractor. Give us a rating wherever you're listening to it. Head to contractorsalesacademy.com. And guys, this is, we've been saying this forever, like, everything's easier when you sell. Your number one job, I mean, Steve, your number one rule is don't f with the money. And the most fundamental thing you could do there is to learn how to sell properly so that you protect your time, you can deliver amazing value to the right clients every damn time, and that you have something to show for it at the end of your career instead of just looking back and seeing all the ways you've stolen from your family. So you guys rock. Have an awesome day. We'll see you next time.